Welcome to Trail Manners, the podcast so dedicated to mountain trails and running that they broadcast out of a 78 Volkswagen bus in the mountains. Who does that? Eric and Joel are your hosts and will bring you the trail life as you may have not heard it before. You hear about everything from gear reviews, nutrition to keep you upright and moving forward, and they'll even bring guests into the bus for conversations that you won't hear anywhere else. It's time for some running adventures on a higher elevation. The old 78 Volkswagen bus is fired up and headed to the mountains. Here are your hosts for Trail Manners, proudly representing the 801 with their passion and love for the trails. Eric Manning and Joel Hatch.
Welcome to the Trail Manners Podcast, episode number 101. Today, we're going to be talking with a couple local legends in Brad Sween and Logan Ledford. If this is your first time listening, then thanks for coming. The Trail Manners Podcast is produced every week for your enjoyment, and show notes are found at trailmanners.com. Come back often, and please feel free to add the podcast to your favorite RSS feed or iTunes. You can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Trail Manners. All links are in the show notes. Now let's get after it. All right, welcome back to the Trail Manners Podcast, episode 101, which basically is like a college class. We're going to learn some things today.
We are,
right?
We tried to do that where we were going to have like a little lunch and learn.
Yeah. We had lunch.
We did.
And we learned.
We did.
Just not on the mic.
No.
So we are at Bomber Studios.
I know.
We're back. It's been since early spring.
At least.
It's really warm in here today.
Yeah, unusually warm, right?
I feel overdressed with a long sleeve shirt and a puffy vest. But we have two guests with us today. We don't do this often.
Nope.
But we're going to have a series of these. So we have two guests on the mic. A couple local legends.
Yeah.
Just basking in their manness. Is that a word?
The manliness.
There we go. We'll put the Lee in there. We've got Brad Sween and Logan Ledford.
That's right.
Howdy, fellas.
Hi, sir. Thank you for having me.
That's Logan. He's going to be the soft voice today. You'll barely be able to hear it because he's soft. And then here comes Brad.
Yeah, I'm here too.
He's bringing it. You hear the difference there.
Straight up.
You'll hear it.
It may have something to do with the 19 cups of coffee we had at Roosters right before this.
We were hitting them.
Crushing it.
Yeah. So, fellas, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, sir. I certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So today we talked to him because they think we're going to be talking about the Bear 100, but we've had some requests
Yep.
you guys don't know about, and
gonna
Brad's
spring
face just lit up. So
Curveball
so
immediately.
Today we're going to be talking about global warming and cinematography from the 80s and 90s.
Really?
It so happens I'm a professional in these subjects.
Are you cinematography?
I'm ready to go.
So what's your favorite show from the
I
70s?
don't know what cinnamon is.
Is that a cinnamon bun?
He's like cinnamon topography? What? No, but we've had both these guys on the show. We had Brad on episode 73, and we had Logan on episode 84.
Wow.
So they're veterans of the Trail Manners podcast.
Right.
And we thought, man, they both crushed the Bear 100.
They did.
So let's have them on at the same time. Let's see how we can get unruly today, right? With two upstanding gentlemen. And
This should be fun. Just winging it here, kind of like how Brad and I signed up for the Bear 100. We had no plans 2 weeks prior and winging it to get in.
And so you're making a lot of people unhappy right now because they train really hard and think really hard, and now you're saying you crushed it on a wing in it, right?
I know. 2 weeks out, they're like, oh, let's just do this.
Yeah, I got nothing better to do. It's,
Yeah.
the leaves are changing.
That's
That's right.
partly accurate. I mean, one of us winged it, and the other one kind of trained all year long for a 100, and happened into the Bear.
That was your plan B.
Yeah, it might have been a plan B. But it is true that one of us did not plan to run 100 miles this year.
And Brad's looking directly at Logan.
Yeah.
That's right.
I had no intentions of running a 100-miler whatsoever.
Ever.
That was the last thing that I had on my mind for the year of 2017. Yeah. So.
Well, I'm glad it didn't work out well for you at least.
It was a disaster.
Freaking
there
finishing an hour before me.
Yeah, so Logan came in 48th in 26:49. 26 hours, 49 minutes. First 100-mile race.
Right.
Wasn't ready for it.
Nope.
Unprepared. Didn't know what to expect. So, yeah, he just went out and winged it.
How many miles of the trails did you run before the race, Logan?
I was solid long runs up to about 25 miles prior to this 100-mile race.
Right.
So the whole theory of putting in 100-mile weeks before running a 100-mile race, not needed. Overkill.
So me and Joel have been testing the taper up
Right.
method.
Yeah.
Right, where we just run a lot more than ever right before the race,
Yeah.
and then we taper after the race till the next race.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right? So it's like, we got to recover for a month, 5
Oh,
mile
at least
weeks,
a month.
10-mile weeks, pint of ice cream here and there.
Oh yeah.
So what made you sign up for the 100 mile on a whim?
Okay.
So this is a story in
so
itself.
this is
it sounds
a story. So my buddy here, Brad, I was going to pace him for his first 100-mile race, the Wasatch 100. That did not go as planned for Brad.
I DNF'd. Straight up.
Oh my gosh, this is like confession time.
Seriously.
Been waiting to get that off
let's
his
just
chest
go
for a
there.
while, right?
So essentially, yes. Whenever I decided, or whenever I was supposed to pick up Brad for the Wasatch 100, he was having a bad day and decided that he was not going to continue. And a week later, him and I are talking on the phone, and he's like, you know what? A lot of people said if I put in for Bear 100 that I'll probably get in even on the wait list. And this is about 2 weeks out of the Bear 100. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll pace you if you get on the Bear 100. And I actually go on Ultra Sign Up and look at the wait list, and it's like 30 people long in 2 weeks.
Right.
And I'm thinking, there's not a snowball's chance in Hades that he's getting into the Bear 100. So doing the friendly thing, I said, you know what? I'll sign up and get on the wait list with him. And about, I don't know, I'll pace him for 100 miles. That sounds great. So
Friend right there.
So-
Ladies and
Something.
gentlemen.
That's something.
So I called Brad, and I was like, Brad, you're about 30 on the wait list, so if you get in, I'm pacing you.
Right.
And he's like, sounds great. And I'm like, I'm going to be pacing you for 100 miles. He's like, wait, what? Like, I'm on the wait list too. So here we are, both sitting on the wait list. And I think there's no chance that we're getting in. And about 7 days goes by, and we've jumped up about 20 spots. And I'm like,
Getting nervous.
And every day
Oh.
we're texting each other because we're refreshing the list, right?
So that's what I want to talk, because you say you talked on the phone. You texted, right?
well, no, we
No one
talked.
talks on the phone anymore.
We talked
right?
initially. There was a conversation. We got a bromance going on. So
I can't remember the last time me and Jill spoke on the phone.
It's weird when it does have to
Yeah,
happen
it's
because
like-
you don't know how to end that conversation.
or what even, it's like it's like I see the phone coming through Joel Hatch. I'm like, oh, something is wrong.
yeah, like legit wrong.
Yeah, and then it's like,
Right?
hey.
it's like when you're calling like your school the little sweetheart crush from like seventh grade
For the first time
and
ever.
You're like, hey,
Hey, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I want to hug you, but where do I put my hands?
Exactly. So you guys call each other.
yes,
That's
so
that's impressive.
the conversation
that's
initially
genuine
was,
friendship.
That is.
Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, we kind of went back and forth on text message the next 2 weeks, watching the wait list, and we slowly climbed up that wait list until about a week out or a couple of days out. I was in Louisiana having a good old time, minding my own business, and
Eating
I
chicken.
get an email. It's like, hey, if you mail the check-in, you're into the race. And I'm like, oh, good, great.
It's so close. Like, can I just bring it to the start?
Yeah, right.
So I'm literally flying back from Louisiana on a Wednesday, take that Friday off work, and I'm heading to Logan, Utah to run the Bear 100 with my buddy Brad here.
Well, the good news is you were at least acclimating in Louisiana before the race.
Yes, yeah. I was doing my elevation training, all
On
my
the
heat
overpass.
training.
Yeah.
It was all getting taken care of in Louisiana.
There you go.
I was practicing the bad aid station food back in Louisiana that you need. So I was getting my stomach acclimated. So yeah, I was prepping.
There you go. And so Brad, I mean, we'll go back to Brad because he brought it up, right? He
did.
He didn't have a good day at Wasatch, and that's you trained all year for that. That was your first 100 that you were just ready for, and it just didn't. It wasn't. You were injured. You just didn't feel right. Is that right?
It was just a bad day. I mean, I have no other way to put it. You know, sometimes you head out and it's just you're clunky. You don't feel right.
Every
you have
day.
no energy.
Say what is not normal then?
Yeah, it was just bizarre. And yeah, kind of gutted it out until Lambs Canyon, so mile 45. This guy right here, Logan, was about to pick me up right there and pace me. And I rolled in there, and I was actually coming in with Turtle Miller.
Okay,
He and
that's
I-
partly why you had a bad day.
Yeah.
On the record, that was not me that said that.
No, actually, it was pretty sweet. I got a couple of miles in with Turtle
Yeah.
out there. He was crushing it, man. He was moving like
He
a
was.
champ.
Yeah.
And he was trying to talk me into it. I mean, I knew man, what is that aid station that's right before Lamb's? Alexander Ridge. Yeah, I mean, I was torched by then. I was totally done. My body had like completely given up. Rolled out of there, and we ended up kind of walking together for a while. And he was super. It was bizarre. He was super positive, like just
Bizarre.
I don't know. He was talking about like post-race beers and some other stuff, and it sounded really appealing, but I felt just like total crap. And so anyway, he was trying to be all positive and stuff. So thanks, Turtle, but it didn't work. And I rolled into Lamb's, and I think Logan. He was one of the first couple people that I saw.
Right.
And immediately, we all just sort of, I think, knew. I mean, I'd be interested to hear what you say now, but like when I rolled in there, I felt just so bad. I felt like I looked like I was about to die, literally.
So, I mean, what your thought process there, just because I know a lot of people, myself included, what was that final thing to pull the plug, right? I mean, what, just like, it's just not my day type attitude, or, I don't want to deal with this for another, 55 miles, or what was kind of the breaking point?
Yeah, my body was doing weird things. Like I've never felt that bad doing anything really before. It was just bizarre. Like I had been going through water at like an alarming rate all day. I mean, I know it was hot, but like, I was almost out of water at the top of Bear Canyon.
Wow.
We're talking, that's with the new course. I mean, what is that, like 6 miles in?
Right.
It was bad. I was just putting water in. It was just it was sweating out. I was right on the verge of getting sick, so that had a lot to do with it. But my body just pretty much shut down.
So your body just wasn't in rhythm for that time. Like you were getting sick, but you weren't full on sick. It was just one of those days, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and it was crazy because the next day, so Saturday, all my friends that were running this race, right, they're finishing, and it was all exciting, and which is super cool. I was really excited for them, but I was at home, and I felt really good the next day. It was like, wow, that was a great 45-mile training run. I feel really good, and I didn't finish, So then immediately it was like, okay, well, let's see what else is out there. The Bears coming up. I don't know. Maybe that's an option.
Because I think that's the hardest part, because we talk to people, and Joel and I have gone through it. It's just that whole last decision to DNF, right? I mean, some people do it, and then hours later they're wrecked on themselves, upset. Sometimes it's a day later, but sometimes like, it just wasn't my day, right? And
that was totally it.
And how was your mind with that, knowing that you've put all that work in and you stopped because it just wasn't your day? It wasn't like, oh, I tore a hammy, or, it was just, it wasn't my day. I mean, how was your mind on something like that?
I thought I'd be more crushed about it, honestly, but I was totally fine with it, and I still am. I think it was the right decision just because of how my body felt. I felt awful.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's possible I could have pulled out of it, but you train for so long for something like that. Well, most of us do. Looking at Logan, jackass. You train for that long, and you put all the work in, and you just feel that awful. Excuse me. Something's up, and so it was like, okay, there are other options out here. Why not go for something else?
Nice. I think that's the best way to do it, and I think that's the hardest thing. Like I am the worst on myself when I DNF.
You are. You're terrible.
Right? I don't understand how to not be, and so to hear stuff like this, and that's why I wanted your story to come out, because there's people out there that go through that, but it's okay to do it, right? I mean, I want to say everybody does it, but yeah, there's that small percentage that has not, right? But I think that's probably something everybody needs to hear. Is just it happens, no matter what, to everybody, pretty much.
Pretty much.
And when he came in, when you saw him, what was your reaction, Logan?
Oh, he looked like hammered dog crap. That would be the best way to say it. Looking at someone, especially after knowing how much work Brad's put into it, the look on his face when he came into that aid station, it was just like a look of like devastation. Like, this is not going my way, and I'm not feeling good. He was soaking wet and just sweating everywhere. And, the way he described it, he'd been taking on water, sweating more than he's ever sweat in his life. And you could just tell, the writing was on the wall at that point. It was just mentally accepting the fact that, today is not my day. I need to, for my own health and my own well-being, pull the plug. So it was that kind of situation. It was about 10 or 15 minutes of talking it out, and, coming to the determination that, in the long run, it'll be better for him to go ahead and stop at that point. So it was a tough thing to watch, but
Well, then you fast forward, like you said, to a couple weeks, and you run the Bear 100, and you had a good day yourself. First 100 after something like that too. 27 hours, 35 minutes. That's impressive, regardless of anything on that course. That's not an easy course
No,
to
that's a
begin
hard
with
course.
if you're not used to it. But just that rebound, you're already fit. You got a solid 45-mile training run in a couple weeks
know.
before.
It's true. It has
Tapering.
something to do with it, I'm sure.
That's total taper up.
Yeah, it is. Whether you want, however you want to look at it. How did your mind going into the Bear, just coming off that? Did your mindset change? Did your planning change? Did anything change going into that?
Totally, yeah, big time. I mean, going into Wasatch, I'd been thinking about that since January.
Yeah.
Or, whenever I got into the lottery, and it was like, okay, this is my A race. So I'm thinking, okay, like all my training is for this one thing. Got to get everything dialed in for it. And I overthought every freaking aspect of it, and I was so anxious for it. For the Bear, it was so much more laid back. It was fun.
good.
I wasn't worried about anything. It's like that first attempt at Wasatch, it removed like all that initial anxiety.
Good.
Pressure on yourself. And
Totally. And it was just, honestly, it was just so much more fun. I mean, Logan and I, we drove up there. We crashed in a hotel the night before. It was just super
Same hotel?
loose. Same bed.
Same bed. Yeah.
We cuddled.
with no hesitation.
Cuddled. Who is the spoon?
Who's the big spoon, little spoon? Come
That's
on,
right.
people want to know.
That's classified information. But yeah, it was so much more laid back. Saw a ton of friends at the starting line for it, and all the way through it, really. I mean, it was so much cooler. I really wish that had been my first 100-mile attempt. But honestly, I don't think it would have gone as well if it had been my first. Like, I
Right.
learned a lot through that DNF.
Yeah.
So, again, yeah, I don't second-guess that DNF decision at all at this point.
So going forward, that next 100-miler that you do at the Ute, are you going to be chill at that too then?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Plus,
Laid
that's going to
back?
be...
Do you guys have your room reserved already, you two?
No, we're probably gonna car camp.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Same car.
Plenty,
Same car?
plenty of room in my minivan for him and I.
Oh, I thought you had that Mini Cooper you were taking to camp in.
People probably think that we're being honest here.
Oh, wait. This show's all about honesty and transparency.
Fair enough. We can keep that.
So are you going to go down there, kind of like Joel mentioned, just kind of try and keep that? I mean, because you have a year, essentially, to
Basically.
train for it. I mean, I
10
know you
months.
probably got stuff in between, but I mean, that's going to be a race you're looking for.
Yeah.
How do you keep your mindset to enjoying it, having fun, and not that built-up pressure and anxiety?
I think the built-up pressure and anxiety is, for me, it feels like it's gone at this point. I feel like I kind of got it out of my system that first time around.
Right.
I'm sure, I'll get the pre-race butterflies in the week before, all
yeah.
that stuff.
Everybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah, but not to the level I did for Wasatch at all. And plus, I'll have other races leading up to it. So, you get to iron out all the little things ahead of time.
Now, you're not going to over-race between now and then, are you?
I'm not planning on it, no.
Unless the
getting at?
FOMO kicks in, right?
Well, you've proven that you cannot resist a race between Bear and now. How many times have you raced between the Bear and now? It's been how many weeks now since the Bear?
it's been
4?
like a month is
I don't
all.
know.
It's all-
4-ish?
Yeah.
5? Raced
And you've
2
done
or
what?
3 other times already?
It's only been 2. Just two times since.
Just 2 times?
Yeah.
You did a marathon and...
Oh, yeah, you did St. George Marathon on the road.
Yep.
Cuz.
Almost PR'd that.
Just
Right?
cuz.
Well, not. It was a good race, but no, it wasn't PR.
And then,
blushing
then
like,
you
oh,
came
you
in
guys
second
brought-
place at like a 20K or a 30K.
Oh, the Dugway 30K.
Yeah.
Super cool race, by the way. Have you guys run it?
I have
No.
not.
Okay. Everybody local here, and even not local, needs to put that on their radar.
The
Super
Dugway
fun.
race.
Yeah, out on the Dugway Proving Grounds, like military base.
So you're proved
Super cool.
yourself out there.
I guess.
Second place.
Second place.
Look how we threw that in there.
Right?
So what do you got? You got a race next weekend then, or what?
Yeah,
What's
he
going
does.
on?
Nope.
What?
2 weeks. 2 weeks
2
from
weeks.
now.
2 weeks
2
out.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. 50K.
2 weeks.
That's
2
this
weeks.
coming. That's
Antelope
this,
Island, the 50K?
It's
2
this
weeks.
weekend, isn't it?
No, it's 2 weeks.
We got
Oh, it
2
is?
weeks.
Yeah.
God, I hope so.
Gosh, I thought it was this coming weekend.
No, it's 2 weeks.
Are you tapering already?
Still
yeah,
got time
I
to
got
train.
time to taper up now.
Perfect.
Yeah. Joel was worried this morning about his distance.
Yeah, I was. I was a little concerned. I thought it was next weekend. Hell yeah. I got time to taper up.
So for Christmas, I'm getting you a calendar, and I'm getting you a thing to hold your keys on your waist belt.
All right.
Joel, you've
Fair
had a
enough.
problem with calendar a couple times this year.
I have. Like Big time.
Like between races. Wait, that's next week? Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're racing next week. Damn, I thought I had 3 weeks or 2 weeks.
I was still going to train for this.
So you're running the
Yeah.
Buffalo 50K.
Yeah.
And what are you running, Logan, or you haven't signed up yet?
No,
You're
I'm
just waiting?
actually, I will be taking a trip back to Louisiana in a couple
Again?
of weeks.
So you'll be signing up and then flying back early?
Yeah.
No,
Gotta go acclimate?
absolutely not. No, I'm planning on hanging out with somebody. I'm actually going to take an off season this year. So
Whoa.
What does that mean?
it means I'm not going to race. I would say that it means I'm going to take it easy on running, but that has proven to be untrue.
How's your when you say season? Is that like
Yeah.
the month of December?
I don't really know.
You don't know yet.
I hadn't figured this out yet.
Okay.
That's a good question.
That's
I should research.
That's what we do here. Is
Okay.
we ask questions.
I don't really know what
Season's
this,
like 3 months.
Is it?
I think so.
Or
Kinda.
okay, because a race season could be a year.
I'm going to take an off season for whenever the snow falls.
Okay,
I'm
next week.
really telling myself that I'm going to be skiing
Okay,
for that period of time.
all right, fair
Whoa.
enough. Fair enough. You a skier too
No,
then? Or
no, never.
Okay.
Uh-uh.
Oh, this
So
will be
you'll
fun.
learn.
Yeah.
I like it.
Strap some sticks to my feet, fall down a mountain. It sounds like a wonderful idea.
On the way you do things, it'll be Black Diamond from the start.
Pretty much,
It's
right?
like, oh, this wasn't easy. This was
He's gonna
easy.
be airing the Wasatch powder keg right away.
Absolutely
right.
not.
So when you guys did you guys now the one thing you didn't do for being best friends, cuddling, calling on the phone, you guys didn't finish the race holding hands. Did you
Thank you.
start together?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
So I
course.
want to take credit for the great race that we had because I sang songs to everybody around us
Oh, you're that
the
guy.
whole way up
You're
that
that
first
guy.
climb.
Are you
Everybody
serious?
appreciated it. Come
Joel
on
and
now.
I wouldn't.
Dead serious.
These
Kicked you
songs
right
were
square
phenomenal.
in the nuts, dude.
Well, I tell you what, I started singing after I was doing the play-by-play commentary of the back of the pack runners in
Oh,
the Bear.
man.
So, we were probably, you have your group of 100 out in front of us, and
Right.
then we have us, and there's some lady that comes running by, and her bib number's 53. I'm like, here comes 53 making the move on place 99, and just having a good time because honestly, I didn't know how that day was going to go, so I was just going to have fun with it for as long as I could
Yeah.
because I didn't know if I was going to get to mile 15 or mile 30 and feel
Well, it probably made that first climb go by really fast.
it really did. It was
For you.
It was a lot of
Not
fun.
for us, but yeah. For
I was gonna say.
So I like to think that I took everybody's mind off of the task at hand, and my singing was their saving grace.
So two things happened there. You either had people going out at a pace they didn't want to go at to get away from you,
Right.
or you had people going out too slow because they didn't want to hear you, right?
Right.
So
Correct.
you could have played games with other people there.
What
for
about
sure.
that happy median? I mean, there
Isn't one of the guys doing that.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Me and Joel run races, and you can hear people just like, I got to get away from these people. It's
Yeah.
either you run faster
Yep.
and deal with it, or you just take a trip to the bushes for a minute and let them go. But knowing that you might catch them later. So you guys had little entertainment going up the climb up Dry Canyon.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys run together most of the day, do you think, or no?
No,
At
we
what
went up
point
to.
did you guys separate?
Well, the thing is, it's not like we planned to like run a certain amount together or anything. It just sort of worked out. Like we headed up. I think we went up to about Logan Peak, about 10 miles in.
Yeah, the first aid station's 10 miles in.
Yeah, and then we start the downhill.
Yep.
Oh,
And
yeah.
of course, this guy's like a crazy, out of control maniac on the technical downhill. So he was gone. And then
Get to the
Form-
next aid station.
Let's
no,
let's be truthful.
Actually, hold on. Let's back up real quick.
Let's be truthful here.
So about mile 14 on that downhill, I caught up to some local friends. Like Davy Crockett was coming down, Shalise Morgan, she was coming down, and all of a sudden I was running with Shalise, and it's like, is that country music? Like, what is it? Country music coming from the bushes. Yeah, that's Logan over there. And
That downhill
you just see this
got
guy
me.
squatting. It was just
That
what
stuff
you want to see.
moving,
at
huh?
It was
14.
go time.
It's the
And
worst time to try bulletproof coffee on your first 100.
So at that point, I mean, he jumped back in
Were
before
you
too
singing
long.
in the bushes, or
no, my phone was playing, and it was
to cover
that,
up the sounds of?
that downhill run.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, it's just like, yeah, you got to go.
So he's got his phone on extra loud to cover up Chewbacca going on in the bushes.
Exactly. There was in that section. There wasn't much place to duck off. The
No,
side of
that's
the
true.
trail,
There's
so
no-
I was kind of just making do with what I had, and Brad came by and he heard that country music, and I mean just like
I've heard that before.
Like a predator smelling
exactly
something
who it
dead
was.
animal in
There was
the
no
bushes.
question.
He found me immediately. And
Yeah.
Did you like walk over to the side of the trail, see where he's at?
Oh hell no!
You
Like,
should
I knew
have. That would've
exactly
been-
who it was.
that
And I was
would've
like,
been
I'm
awesome.
gone.
we've run together long enough. He knows.
Yeah.
He was aware of what was going on.
So there was some flip flopping early on.
A little bit, yeah. So he did his thing, and then he caught up to me. We ran some of that sweet single track down towards
That's so nice.
Latham.
Latham, yeah.
Hollow. That single track's so
It
awesome.
is.
And then he was gone. I hadn't seen him for a while. It was about mile 26 or 27. I think
Yeah,
I
somewhere
caught up
around
to you.
there.
Maybe a little bit after that.
Mm-hmm.
Coming into, was it Cowley?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I caught up with him, which was my first indication of, something's up with Logan, because I shouldn't be catching up with him because he's a
That-
faster runner than me.
That's probably it's the longest he's gone
that
all
was-
year.
yes,
Right? Maxing
correct.
out pretty much.
Yeah,
So.
no doubt about it.
Uncharted waters at mile 26.
I really pushed myself, and about mile 26, my body was done. We were doing a climb, and I was like my trekking poles felt like they were 125-pound dumbbells. It was the heaviest thing. I was like, this is horrible. There's no way I'm doing 74 more miles of this. I'm out. And luckily we got to that next aid station, and Brad was there. And it's times like that where it's great to have someone kind of lift your spirits. And he and I walked for about 2 or 3 miles. Kind of got our legs back under us, and it was that time that kind of turned my day around. It was like, okay, I'm here. I've accepted this. I'm going to be out here for another 70 miles, so let's just do it. And it's kind of my mind talking my body out of quitting. So that was perfect. And we spent the next, probably 10 or 12 miles together. So it was perfect.
And during that section, you guys were both feeling pretty good because it didn't get real hot that day, right? For the bear.
No.
Anyway.
It was good.
And how were you guys feeling? Were you fueling? Were you talking to each other about that, or how?
We were talking about, there was this protein bar that Brad gave me before the race, so I'd never had it, and I tried it out naturally. So not
What a
only,
friend.
yeah,
Try this. It's full of figs.
exactly.
Full of figs.
So
Raisins.
yeah, we talked about it. We were both fueling. We were both in good spirits right then, and I could tell that Brad was feeling good because, you can tell when Brad's feeling good and when he's feeling bad. He wants to punch somebody when he's feeling bad.
No one saw
You
the
get a little
birdie finger. Brad's throwing the old sneaky bird over at Logan. No one can see this.
Yeah, he was feeling good, and I was hiding my feeling at that point. I was like, I don't
No, you
know.
weren't. You weren't hiding it.
But yeah, we were both going back and forth, just having a good time. He cranked up what he does on the trail, which kind of gets to me sometimes. He cranked up the Tupac and Biggie, and we're going along the trail, just listening to the rap jams, and it was a good time. It was a party.
So I'm getting this because you guys are like two of the nicest guys we know, right? So to hear you guys say something like, he's not honoring, and Brad's flipping you the bird. You guys have bad moods?
Well, here's the thing: is like those brotherly relationships.
Yeah.
That's kind of what he and I have.
Okay.
And yeah, we do get in bad moods. So he tried to carry me up a mountain one day, and it's probably the maddest that he's ever seen me. It was just one of those miserable days where it was cold, and he told me it wasn't going to be cold, and it was
There wasn't going to be any snow.
it was
but we
a
were
10-mile run, and he told me it was going to be a 5-mile run, and I was mad. I was like, Brad, I'm never coming running with you again in my life. And then we've had flip-flop that. There was other days where I carried him on an adventure, and we get about 3 hours into it, and we're supposed to be done, and he's supposed to be back at the house, and realization hits that we're not going to be home for another 3 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he's like furious. He's like, you don't understand me, Logan. I got to go home, and I'm like, but we ain't getting home anytime soon.
Well, that's good to know that you guys aren't like just always super nice and stuff. It's good to know you have
But that's
that.
how those relationships grow stronger, right?
Yeah.
It's through those trials and tribulations
Yeah.
for sure.
and working through it.
Yeah, we've seen each other at pretty low spots before, but for the most part, I think it works out pretty well. Like when you were really struggling there at Cowley, I was really surprised to see you there, and so it was like, all right, let's pull it together, let's walk, let's get this going. And it was probably 3 miles. I mean, there's like 3 miles of uphill, and then after that, you were back to normal self. It seemed like, and we hit this single track downhill, which is freaking sweet. It was like 6 miles of downhill or whatever.
It's that next aid station. That's
into
good stuff.
left-hand fork.
Yeah.
Oh man,
You know who Mark Tanaka is?
no.
And so he's a California runner, and he runs a lot of 100-milers. I was running down that trail with him one year, and we were going through the leaves. You know how the leaves kind of cover all the rocks and stuff through there? I've never seen anybody fall so hard as I saw him fall. I swear to God, I thought I was going to pick him up and like his innards were going to be spewing on the trail underneath him. I thought he had broken his ribs for sure. He was so scraped up, and then he goes, "No, I'm good. And come to find out, he's a physician, right? So he's like patting himself. I'm good. You keep going. So I run down, and I see Brian Powell. I said, Brian, there's some dude behind me. I've never seen anybody fall that hard. Can you go check on him? And Tanaka pulled it out.
Stitched himself up on the trail. And
yeah.
Pushed the innards back in.
The rib hole, like Ty Draney says, the rib hole.
So you guys ran a good portion of the middle section together a little bit then, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys, going into it, I'm guessing you guys were like, hey, we're just going to go how we feel. It wasn't like planned to run together. It just happened because you've trained together, kind of similar paces together.
Essentially, yes. When I originally signed up and had no intentions of ever running 100 miles this year, I really had, if we were to get in, I had full intentions. I would have run with him for 100 miles, but he kind of set me straight the night before, and he was like, listen, in a 100-mile race, some people feel good, some people feel bad. So, let's just run how we feel. So it was that kind of situation. I didn't know how I was going to feel, and I actually, to be quite honest, I thought that we were probably going to get to about mile 30, 40, or 50, and I was going to feel destroyed, and he was going to go on without me. So I don't know. It was just kind of a, go how you feel.
Just go how you feel.
Exactly.
Did you guys have, at any point, did you guys use pacers? Since I know you were talking about pacing him, did you guys have pacers through the race?
Yeah, for sure. So we did that long downhill single track down into Left-Hand Fork. It was mile 36 or
36,
something like
around
that.
there.
And so I picked up my first pacer there, my friend Kate, who came out from Colorado to pace, and Logan didn't have a pacer yet. So the three of us kind of got in there, got everything handled, and we headed out together. We pretty much did that whole section from there to the next aid station at Temple Fork together, just the three of us. And honestly, that whole section went by so freaking fast. Like, we were just having so much fun out there. It was just legitimately like a party on the trail. It was so much fun. And yeah, I think that's about the time that you took off, because after Temple Fork, you got that long freaking climb up to Tony Grove.
Right.
I was not prepared for that mentally at all.
I think that surprises a lot of people.
That's a grind.
It is.
God, it felt like it would never end.
Mm-hmm. And there's some of those false summits up there atop before you actually roll off of it.
Yeah. But he was gone. And then, I don't know, I didn't see you again until the finish. That was it.
Because Tony's about the halfway mark of the course,
it is.
49, 50, right in there.
And that's where I picked up my first pacer at mile 50. And I'll be totally honest. The reason that I took off from that aid station is because I tried to keep up with Brad and his pacer on that flat section. And I'm not known for my flat running or slightly uphill running or anything like that. So I nearly killed myself trying to keep up with them. And I got to that aid station. I literally told myself, I have to run my own race, because if I do this, I'm going to blow up.
Right.
And I didn't know, what the elevation profile looked like going forward. I just knew that I needed to separate myself so I didn't kill myself. And it just happened to be uphill, and I just put my head down and went. So it worked out. But yeah, the separation was nothing personal. It was the fact that I was struggling to keep up with them. And they actually, with about a mile left into that aid station, they actually left me. And I started walking on some of the sections. I just couldn't keep up anymore. I was like,
Well, let's be honest. Kate was moving way faster than I felt comfortable anyway. She was crushing it.
She was excited, wasn't she?
No, seriously. So, like,
Come on, guys.
If you've never looked at the elevation profile of this race, like, you pretty much, you go into an aid station, you go up, you go down, and then you're at another aid station. So never running, any of this trail before, you just at least know kind of what to expect.
Right.
Like, kind of peeked out, okay, we're going to go down. So for some reason, Kate got out in front of me on the downhill going towards Temple Fork. And I was just thinking, at this point in the race, I'm not going to overexpend myself. I want to feel super easy, like going into mile 45. And she just takes off, and I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can do this. Like, my race might be over right here, but I'm going to try. And she was just straight crushing it. And then we cruised in, and I still felt good. So she had a killer strategy. I don't know how she knew, but she just crushed it.
Now she just, because I don't know, does she run ultras herself, or was she just a runner? I mean, does she know? Has she paced before?
I don't know how much she's done pacing before, but she's a heck of a trail runner herself. I mean, she went out and ran her first 50-miler at Run Rabbit Run this year, and she came in 3rd place for the women.
Okay, all right.
So straight crushing it, yeah.
So she was training and hoping you'd keep up with her.
Yeah,
Pretty much. That's what it sounds like.
I think she wanted to drop me.
She's like, wait, is this are we running? This is a trail. What are you doing?
But yeah, and it was awesome. So she paced me all the way to the lodge, so to mile 75.
Nice.
Whoa. Right on.
Yeah,
30 miles,
Picked
right?
up my other pacer, Robert Edminster, there, and that was, two of them.
So you just picked like really fast,
Yes,
crushing
yes,
it.
he did.
For real.
pacers.
I felt so terrible having Robert out there. He's just we're pulling out, and we actually came out at a pretty good pace out of the lodge. But
Right.
that there's a long grinding uphill.
Yeah, there
it
is.
seems like it takes
To get to
years.
82.
Yeah, and I felt so bad, but he was he was awesome. I think it was funny for him to see it from a
Different
from a different perspective. So this is Robert crushed it at the Wasatch
Yeah.
100. He came
Right.
in 3rd place overall
Yeah.
in his first 100 race.
Yeah.
So he knows a thing or two about how to run fast, and I was showing him how to run slow. For sure.
This is how we conserve energy. And so, you had, how many pacers did you have?
I
Did you
had
have
2 pacers. I
Okay.
had one from, was it Tony Grove
So
Mhm.
50
to the lodge.
Okay.
to 75.
A good buddy of mine, Aaron Williams.
Nice.
He showed up with some short shorts and his pasty white legs, and it just
That's all you needed, right?
I got a good laugh, and I was like, "Let's do this. This is going to be fun." And then my buddy Sam Jukes took me from about mile 75 to the finish line.
Nice.
And him and I have done a lot of running together. So yeah, he's the person that you want at the end of a race because he's not nice. Let's just
He's
put
gonna
it
push
that way. Yeah. Well, he's
gonna
push
get you to the finish.
He's gonna get under your skin the way you need to, be gotten to, so you can run. And that was perfect to have at the end. So yeah, it worked out well.
So did you guys have, it's a 100-mile race, and you were kind of ready for it. You, and I'm pointing at Logan and Brad, you're coming up. Did you guys have low points, stomach issues, hydration, anything like that? Did you have some down points as well in there, Logan?
I certainly did. Okay, so there was 2 sections. There was the section at about mile 26 when I was doing that big climb,
Right.
and my body pretty much shut down on me. And then there was the section right after Tony Grove. It was kind of rolling, relatively flat.
Right.
I went into Tony Grove, and I went buffet style at that aid station, and I ate so much food.
Did you?
And by the time I got out of there, about a half a mile down the trail, I told Aaron, I was like, "Aaron, I don't feel good." He's like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, I think I just took in about 5,000 calories at that aid station. And my stomach is hurting right now. He's like, "Well, let's just walk." So I had to walk for, several miles to let my stomach kind of settle before I started feeling good again. And once that passed, it was pretty much good. I learned my lesson the hard way at mile 50, and then I got to the lodge and they had chili in there. I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna need a cup full of chili before I."
So you didn't learn your lesson well.
Yeah, no, I didn't overeat that time. I just tried a poor choice of food, but that didn't get to me like overeating at mile 50 did.
So your stomach issues came at about mile 50, and then after you kind of got that out, the rest of the way it was just kind of even keel.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's pretty good for a first 100.
I know.
Yeah, really. Because you have people get in some bad spots for a long time.
Did you have any hallucinations?
No, I didn't have any hallucinations. I'm pretty good during the night. Never had an issue with that. I think I attribute it to the fact that I spent so much time in college partying all night long that
Fair enough.
I'm just used to staying up and having a good time. And come night, I just put my head down and we went, and it was a great time. I had a lot of fun during the night.
Right on.
My problem is that first 26 miles.
So if you can get past that, then you're
Yeah,
golden.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah, it's like
So you're a late bloomer.
exactly. Yes, let's say.
He's a late
I've
bloomer.
been referred to as a late bloomer my whole life. So yeah.
Fair enough.
That's another show.
Yeah.
What about you, Brad? How did your stomach hold up and your race pan out as far as nutrition stuff goes?
Everything went pretty well. It really did overall. I had some minor stomach issues kind of in the middle, but nothing major at all. I didn't do anything too special nutritionally wise. I've been playing around with a couple of different products lately that, really settle well in my stomach. But other than, trying out, this stuff, Spring Energy, I was just hitting aid station stuff. I mean, so last time I was on, Joel was razzing me about not hitting up the quesadillas at the aid station.
Dude, you got to crush them when they're there.
And I had never tried them at that point. But, I mean, so all the races I did this summer leading up to it, quesadillas.
Got into the quesadilla.
Yeah, you got to have at least one triangle.
Yeah.
That'll do you right.
At least. He said at least.
One triangle.
Yeah, you got to go one triangle.
And so you did that this one?
Oh, yeah. No, just pretty much, anything that looked pretty good that I knew would not, wreck my stomach, I went for. And honestly, I mean, through the night section, I had never done like an all-night run before, being my first 100, but like I did the Tushers 100K this year, and with the bad weather and everything, I mean, it was super slow. So we didn't end that until about 1 a.m., so I did have a little bit of experience. And yeah, at the Bear, I think once it hit mile 65 or 70-ish, I was mostly kind of on like liquid calories. I was taking some gels. I'm not normally a gel kind of guy, but doing gels and broth and soup and that kind of stuff, Coke, and that worked out great.
So you went away from solids later in the race. Did you have some solids early on in the race?
Yeah. Okay. I had just your typical normal kind of 100-mile stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Brad there. I had my own food in my drop bags that I'd planned on eating throughout the race. And once I got started in the race, it get to the aid station, and later on in the race especially, the broth and the chicken noodle soup. That's all I wanted. I didn't want anything that I had prepared. I just wanted chicken noodle soup, just some liquid that would go down easy. And that set on my stomach a lot better than the peanut butter, jelly, and bacon that I was eating.
Well, that's what I was going to say,
That's
because
good stuff.
you're a conscious eater. We've seen this. So you packed your own food. What kind of food do you pack? You say, is it peanut butter,
jelly, and bacon.
Is that all in a sandwich, or is the bacon on the side like
it's all in the
breakfast today?
sandwich. Yeah,
Okay.
you get it all in there.
We're talking like full sandwich, quarter sandwich?
It was a full sandwich.
We talking maple smoked bacon? We talking
it was hickory.
sizzling?
Well, what kind of bread are we using here?
It was actually a
Like Wonder
thin
Bread?
sliced bread.
Ooh, okay.
I didn't want to overdo it on the bread.
Did you make this the night before?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Crust? No,
Wait a
you
minute.
cut the crust
Was
off.
this
There's
in
no
your
crust
drop
on this
bags?
thin sliced bread.
All right.
Was this in your drop
It was in my
bags?
drop bags.
Okay.
It's pretty cool out there, so I figured they'd be
Yeah,
safe.
they wouldn't be
Were they in
funky monkey.
Ziplocs or
Yes,
were they in Tupperware?
Well, Ziplocs and Tupperware. So
Okay.
I would typically grab a half of the sandwich out and eat it, and then have the Ziploc. I would just stuff the other half
pocket?
in my pocket, and warm it up real good on the trail, and then
Warm it up in my pocket. Stick it
about
in
midway.
So
my-
you were eating a full sandwich in between aid stations?
Well, yeah. At aid station, at the aid station, I'd eat half a sandwich, and then in between the aid
So
station.
let's back up. So you had stomach problems at mile 50. How many of those sandwiches did you eat before mile 50?
Actually, I only had I think one before then, because I didn't know that you weren't able to have a drop bag at the first aid station.
So you had one, but it just didn't get there? Or what?
Well, no, I had a drop bag for the first aid station. I think it was at mile
20.
10 or 20 or something like that.
Yeah,
And
first
we
aid
weren't-
station's mile 10, but you can't have drops
Yeah,
there.
exactly. So I had a drop bag for there, and I wasn't able to use it, so I had to, bail on that. And then I strategically placed my drop bags from there every 20 miles apart. So I didn't have a drop bag at every aid station.
Right.
So I ended up only having about one for the first 50 miles, and then
Gotcha.
and then towards
None
the end of the
after
race.
that.
So you
So
were the,
basically, I had a lot of leftover sandwiches.
yeah,
at
you
the
did.
end of
Is that
race.
was that the only thing you had food wise, or just those peanut butter
I
jelly
had,
and
I had some
bacon?
RX bars for
Okay.
just in case I get real hungry.
Or wanted to pump iron on the way? Or
Yeah,
do some
in case you found
squats,
some 120-pound dumbbells on the side of the trail.
that's exactly right.
box jumps. Here we go.
There was that. I had some bailout plans just in case, but for the most part, I figured the peanut butter, jelly, and bacon was going to get me
What
through
kind of
it.
jelly did you put on there?
It was actually an all natural. It was a strawberry jelly,
Okay.
and yeah, it was.
I like that.
The
I like
strawberry
razzleberry.
I think some jalapeno jelly would have been nice.
jalapeno jelly.
Look
Jalapeno
good.
jelly.
I like
Uh-huh.
that. That would have been good.
That would, you talk about a bad idea for your stomach.
More country music coming from the bushes.
Exactly.
So that's what we need to keep an eye out for, right?
That's right.
It's not banjo country, so we can people can be safe out there.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So do you guys train a lot? I mean, you guys run a lot. You do a lot of climbing. Do you train with the same nutrition that you're going to do in a race? Do you take sandwiches with you in a training run?
No, never.
Is that just race specific food for you?
Yeah, it was just something. I tend to eat solid foods, whole foods. I never do gels. So I knew that I didn't want to get out in a race. I learned the hard way when Brad and I, went out for the Squaw 50 last year.
Right.
That just aid station junk food will not get me through a race.
Okay.
So I figured, I need solid foods to, sustain me over that course of time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was just give me chicken noodle soup.
Yeah.
That'll work.
So, Logan, I know that, because of your experience in college and partying, you didn't have the night problems. Did you, Brad, experience any, low points at night where you're just, darn tired and wore out?
I only had one like that. All the way to the lodge, I was super up. I was great. We were playing some music out there. Just actually, I was moving so much faster through there than I thought I would. Picked up Robert at the lodge. We headed out of there, and I think we got up to maybe 84 miles or so. And I really hit the first low point at that point.
It was still dark at that point, right?
Yeah, it was definitely dark. I think it was a combination of just being low on calories because I'd been pretty much on all liquid calories for a couple of hours before that, and just the long climb. It just felt like we'd been out there for forever. And so you got to the point where I was like, all right, Robert, stop. Let's just stop for a minute. I'm going to pull a couple things out of my pack. Let's just, take a minute or two to recharge. Okay. And we did that. I got some calories in, chugged down some water. We laughed about some stupid stuff on the trail, and then we just went. And within 5 minutes, I felt like a new person. It was crazy. Okay. That was the lowest point I hit in the whole race. I was just I was fortunate, and things came together, and nutrition was good, and I mean, that sounds like a cop-out, but I felt really, really darn good through the whole thing.
Well, I mean, to me, it just sounds like, the Wasatch, you didn't feel good, and there was no reason, but having to feel good at Bear, I mean, that's just kind of karma payback, man.
It is.
You trained hard, you earned it. Let's have a good day now.
Yeah. Yeah, it felt real good. At the finish, I'll probably get there, but it was a good feeling for sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about the finish. We're at
We're
mile 75, I think, with both of you. We're playing this cool.
We are.
Right? Having two people on is tough.
It is. So we've worked up through 75, gone through kind of that douchey climb up to 80-ish, right?
That's what we say. It is. Hashtag that, baby.
Right?
Yeah.
That next aid station, if you're lucky enough, you get in there, they got some good sausage and bacon
some
and
solid
stuff.
food.
I got none of that.
Really?
Yeah, see, I'm
the only
you got there too early then.
Yeah,
the only
they get too early.
Yeah.
So I got there once, and man, they had such good food.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Are they still up there? Can we go get some right now?
Maybe not. There's a gas station right there. They might have some Slim Jims or something.
Oh, that one, I wouldn't eat anything out of that gas station. That gas station has beer and cigarettes.
So you guys hungry? So you're at mile 75, and Brad, you talk about, is your primary focus liquid diets, for a race, for gels and drinks, or do you do solids too then?
No, I do solids.
What about training? Do you train with the same stuff you race with, or no?
The thing is, I mean, realistically, I kind of go really minimal on any kind of food when I'm training. Okay. Because realistically, my training runs are never over, 5 or 6 hours, really. I mean, other than a Wasatch DNF, which is a 45-mile training run. So, I mean,
that's a great training run.
Yeah, aside from that, no.
So you don't really eat much for under 5 hour run.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to my friend Jenna the other day about this, about going up to 5 or 6 hours, and I can get by on just whatever random stuff I've got in my pack.
Leftovers from the race.
Exactly. Whatever I pick up
one
on
of Logan's sandwiches.
Found a Skittle in my pocket. I'm good.
So, but the longer races I did this year were really good to kind of test out different things. I know what my stomach can handle, what it can't, and I just went with it for the Bear. So those miles that I just wanted liquid stuff, it was fine.
So under 5, I gotta dial this in. Under 5 miles, you really don't do much. A gel or two if you have it on you, or do you just sometimes 5 miles with nothing?
We're talking like
Nutrition.
5 miles or 5
5 hours. Excuse me, 5 hours.
No, I mean like 5. I don't know. I mean, if we're gonna go out and hit like a long, fun adventure, honestly, it's going to be probably 5 hours of maybe a couple of hours of running, and then a couple hours maybe of scrambling, and then an hour of picture taking.
Time out. Okay. Time out.
Logan's
So
calling
here
timeout.
we go. Brad he does eat like very little when we run, and it absolutely blows my mind. But he does have a secret weapon that he always brings with him when we go out for a longer 5-hour run.
Uh-huh.
It
We're ready.
is dark chocolate covered almonds
With Himalayan sea salt.
with Himalayan sea salt, aka. Yeah, never mind. I'm not going there.
No, we know because Joel has Smurf nuts.
So
Wait a minute. That doesn't just like give you the
The,
the
No.
disaster pants like right
does it
away
give
from
you the country music in
no.
the bushes.
That's right.
Chewbacca.
There have been a many a days where we're out on a long run, and Brad's like, "Yeah, this kind of sucks, but look what I have."
I got
and
my
pulls out
fix.
a big bag of almonds, and that changes everything. So, he
We're gonna get
typically-
it.
Changes it for
We're
like
gonna
the
get
better.
it. What do you call your big bag of almonds?
Oh man, a big bag of nuts. I mean, that's just basically what
You
it
just
is.
bring that and say, "Look what I got, fellas! My big bag of nuts."
It's-
Brad doesn't
Exactly.
want to say what they're called.
That's
Well, I wasn't the one who coined the term, so
that's
not my place.
so
We'll just
Brad,
leave it at that.
Brad brings out
Your
his
salty
big-
nuts.
Yeah, exactly.
Uh-huh.
Himalayan sea salt.
and that's your goat. That's your
That-
secret
well,
weapon.
here's
huh?
the thing: is Brad brings them all the time, and this is just a testament to how good of a guy Brad is. Most of the time, he only eats about one or two of them, hands me the bag, and I end up eating the rest of them. And I
So
mean,
he's muling for you.
exactly, yeah. And it's always, it makes my day every time he pulls those things out, and a smile comes across my face, and it's like my day has just started.
Here we go. So in a race, do you fuel early on because you're used to training, or do you not?
Yeah,
So
I
you'll
feel
still fuel early on. in a
fuel
race.
early on.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, actually, it's funny. Logan and I were out running this morning before we recorded this, and we went up and hit Lewis Peak right up here, and my watch actually still has a reminder notification thing on it for 45 minutes to
Oh, you're
remind
that guy,
myself
huh?
I should take something in.
Would that
yeah.
be like a whole gel or just a hit of something, or
For the bear, I didn't actually use that. Actually, that's left over on my watch. That notification, it was from the St. George Marathon, which was just a ridiculous other thing we won't get into. But for the bear, I mean, honestly, I think about every hour to hour and a half, I was taking in something.
okay?
Okay.
Yeah, some kind of something. I like Scratch Labs hydration stuff in
Liquid
a bottle.
form,
So as long as you're chugging on that a bit, taking something in every hour and a half, it's enough calories to sustain me anyway. So
What is one of those spring? Because you've been talking about those spring gels, the strawberry one, the sage flavor,
Canterbury,
right?
yeah.
Canterbury. What's the calorie intake? Is like 100 calories still for
it's
a
about
pouch?
100. Yep.
Okay, and
Yeah.
that's you've been working with those for a while, right?
For a
Trying
bit
those.
now, yeah. Actually, it was really cool. I met the founder and owner. His name is Rafal. I met him at the Tushers 100K, and we were just running together, and we ended up running a lot of the race together, just by coincidence, and ended up talking to him about it, and he introduced me to this product, this brand that he has. So I've been working with that stuff for a couple months now and love it.
And it's the one you're trying, strawberry, because I haven't seen any other strawberry. Thinking about it, strawberry flavors are there in gels? I haven't
know.
seen a strawberry.
I usually don't hit those. I go straight for the chocolate.
I'm the opposite. So it's
Yeah.
pretty good stuff, right? You like it?
Yeah, it's good stuff. And the nice thing about it is, because I'm not, like I said, I'm not a gel person. I don't really like the sickly sweet,
Right,
gel
exactly.
stuff. But what it is it's actually more of like a pureed food.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask
Product.
you next. So it's more like a applesauce than it is to a gel?
Yeah, so
Okay.
it has like
Okay.
basmati rice in it. It has
Oh.
like pureed, whatever berries or fruit and a bunch of other stuff added into it, and it's super natural. It's just really tasty. It goes down easy, and I have no issues with it, so I use it. It's
So
great.
it's got all that and just a little sprinkle of sage. Right? Is that how it works? Since
Yeah.
it's his formula?
Exactly.
Nice. So 75 to the finish. Pretty serious route, right? How did the last 25 work for you? Because within here you've got some pretty decent trail, you got some climb, you got one little butt kicker of a climb, then a monster downhill.
Yeah,
right?
you do.
So how did your last 25 work for each of you?
Personally, for me, that was the time that Sam and I ran together a lot of the way, and we were good all the way until about 1 mile from the finish line.
Wait a minute. Did you take a right to go get a milkshake?
Hold on, let me. This horrible, Leland pulled this twist on us where you're at this road and you think, all right, it's just coasting downhill this
Oh, I
road
know what you're talking
to the
about.
finish.
Yeah.
And Sam, I would, when Brad and I initially started, we had a goal of like 30 hours. And at this time, it's, still 26 hours, and I'm 2 miles from the finish line. I'm like, I can do under 27. And Sam's like, if you want it, let's do it. And he's pushing me. And so we're getting, close to what I think is the end. And all of a sudden it takes a hard left back up a fire road.
Yep.
And I'm like, no,
It's
this can't be a part of the race. And he's like, yeah, let's go. And we get up to the top of that little fire road, and we finally level off. And I had been pretty fortunate the whole race where hadn't fallen down much, kept my feet pretty dry the whole time. And I stepped on this large fire road. There was just one puddle in the middle of it that I had no business being around. And I slipped in and fell in this puddle. And Sam thought it was funny. And I mean, I'm at
for
this
the record,
point,
we do too. Right?
Yeah.
at this point in the race, I'm over it. So I'm just ready to be done. I get furious. I mean, I'm mad at Sam. Like, don't talk to me. You just be quiet right now. Let's just get this. And I felt kind of bad, looking back, because I think about 5 steps later, he's like, "I'm sorry, man." He really thought he'd hurt my feelings, and Sam knows me better than that. But he felt kind of bad because he was joking at me for falling in that mud puddle, and I was just not having it at the second. But other than that, that last section was pretty smooth. That last little climb, I didn't know. So being such a short notice decision to run the race, I didn't know what the elevation profile was. And I didn't know about this big climb right out of that last aid station. So everybody was beefing up this big climb, and I'm thinking, like, I'm about to go 5,000 feet up for 5 miles. Like, I'm really bracing myself. And we get to the top, and I'm like, oh, that was pretty short.
It wasn't a ranger dip, right?
It's one coming out ranger dip.
It wasn't as bad. And they had some egg tacos and bacon at that aid station.
Oh, yeah.
Which it really fueled me the rest of the way in. And other than that, that last little spot with that puddle, it was golden. It was a lot of fun.
So tell me this, because this is my favorite part. How did you feel when you took that last right to turn to the finish line? It's got kind of a long, there's like a path there. You can either choose the asphalt or you can choose that little patch of grass to run on. How did you feel coming down there? Goal was 30. Didn't really train for it. You didn't know you couldn't have a drop bag 10 miles into the race, so you didn't look at everything real close. Yeah. You're coming in. How'd you feel though?
It was a great feeling. So to say that this was my first 100-miler would be a lie. I ran Bandit 100-miler last year. It wasn't an organized race.
Was that the orange monkey
Yes,
thing?
that's correct. So in that race, I could have done somewhere around 30 hours in that race, and I had IT band issues, so I had to end up walking for 15 miles of that race. And to be able to run, the final 5 or 6 miles into the, finish line, it was the greatest feeling ever, because the only, recollection I have of the last few miles of a 100-mile race were walking with a peg leg, because my leg literally would not bend anymore. So it was a great feeling. I was beyond excited. And, to be quite honest, I got to the finish line, and I really just wanted to know how Brad was doing, because this wasn't my thing. I mean, this was his thing to begin with. So it was just okay, how far back is he? How's he feeling? Let's see, where he's at.
And you got your answer pretty quick.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
He wasn't far behind you, right?
No, not long at all. He killed it. It's impressive. So yeah, shortly thereafter, he was coming into the finish line, and it was great. Yeah, him and I have hung around each other long enough, and I've been around his family long enough. So his daughters and his wife and his parents were at the finish line, and their family is like my family. To see them at the finish line and to be able to hang out with them a little bit, it's great. So I was able to talk to them while he's coming in, and they're telling me, yeah, he's feeling good. He should be here in any minute now. And it was absolutely phenomenal.
Nice.
Just sitting there.
I mean, Brad, your last 25, we'll kind of get to it, but I'm going to tell you the highlight almost of my day was I pulled up to hang out the finish line early, right? And right when I pulled up, I'm talking to some friends, and here comes Brad down the path on the side of the road before the finish. And, dude, I was psyched. Like, I saw you, and I'm like, are you kidding me? Knowing what you'd gone through and the time he was at, I wasn't sure, but I knew it was fast. I mean, I got a solid high five right there.
For real. That's one of my favorite moments of the entire race right there. It was so cool because we were only like, a quarter of a mile away there. And I saw, you're getting something out of your car or something.
Probably
and
a coffee.
Yeah. And I'm like, is that Eric? And your face lit up, and that was a genuine high five.
Because
it
was just awesome to see us. So besides that, I'm just picking on myself here. That was my favorite part of the race, pretty much. Other than the few beers I had in my tent. But how did the last little bit go for you? Again, kind of just throwing it all into one. Last 25, coming off Wasatch, and just your time. I'll keep going back to that, but both your times are just legit times, just solid. How did you feel coming into it?
It just felt pretty slow, honestly, up until to about Ranger Dip, I think, which is, 7 miles from the finish. I just felt like Robert and I were just kind of moving, just one foot in front of the other. It didn't feel like we were moving particularly fast. But it was getting light outside by the time we got to Ranger Dip. They had bacon, they had eggs, they had sausage, pancakes. So we did hang out there for a little bit. And then we
did that one pretty easy, huh?
Easy.
Yeah.
For sure. We crushed some of that. We did that climb coming out that everybody was just building us up for, like, this is going to destroy you. And it was funny. Robert and I got to the top, and we're just like,
that's
it. Was that? There has to be more.
So that was Robert's first time there too, then, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
neither of us had run a
steep.
step out there.
It's steep.
It's steep.
It's very steep, but it's not.
It's not long.
It's not long.
It's like a quarter mile.
The way everybody talked it up, I was expecting like an hour of a steep climb.
Yeah,
like-
I came out of there, and
it's
they
like
said it was going to
30
take you
minutes.
40 minutes. They said it's going to take you 45 minutes to go up this thing, and we got up it
geez.
in, I don't know, what it was, 15, 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, exactly. It's like 30 minutes if you eat too much.
Yeah.
You throw up
or if it's wet.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, after that, with Robert out in front of me, kind of leading the way, we started moving pretty fast, and
Yeah, you can run that section fast.
So my only one thing that I was worried about through the whole race was I've always had issues with my quads cramping, big time. Like, I fully expected at mile 30 or 40, I was going to have to deal with that through the end, like really bad, like debilitating stuff. Never had an issue at all. It was crazy how awesome it went. So that last section, that 6 miles of downhill, for me, absolutely crushed it. Like, Robert was out in front. He was giddy. It was amazing seeing him. Like, he was pulling me along, and he kept looking back like, is he still there? Whoa, he's right there. Okay, I'm going to go a little faster. And we just straight crushed it, that whole downhill section, and did the uphill that was unexpected at the end, which sucked. And then we came down. I got high fives from Eric, and then all of a sudden it was like, boom, there's the finish line. I'm like, gosh, it's right there.
And so, with the time that you came in, what point, was there a point along the way where you were looking at what your potential finish time was, where you're kind of like, oh, wow, this is all right?
Not really, honestly, because I had a pace chart that I had printed out with different aid stations and projected times. And through, I want to say mile 60-something, 60, 70, I was at hour 30 to 32 for a projected finish. Like, I was right in that range. And so I kind of stopped looking at it because it's like, well, this isn't helping me at this point. So I kind of put it away. And then, when I was with Robert, we hit that last downhill section, and we were doing the mental math, and he's like, dude, you can come in under 29 hours. You're like, let's crush it. Let's go. And so we're going. And we got about halfway down. He's like, dude, I just did the math wrong. You could come in under 28 hours. And at that point, we're just going as hard as we can to get like 27:59 or whatever, right? And as it turned out, it was even better than that. So it was really sweet.
I'd have been like, cool. I think we must have missed a turn and cut 10 miles off or something. That would have been my head. And this, again, you come through the finish line, you got your friends there, you got your family there, you know the journey it's taken to get there, plus your time. What was, in your first 100, what's kind of your feeling down that last little bit?
It was crazy. I felt like I was kind of floating almost. Robert and I were booking it. It just felt so dang cool. The whole experience, it kind of culminated in that last 100 or 200 yards. And across the finish line, it was like, that's it. That was rad. And, then I was like, okay, get a laptop. Where's Ultra Sign Up? Where's the next 100 miles? Let's not delay this.
I got Dugway. I got Antelope Island.
No, it was crazy. And the group of friends that we had there at the finish,
that's what makes
so
it all
cool.
worth it. Absolutely. To have those friends, and, I don't have family out here, but Brad's family at the finish line. I think that's what, the most important part about all of this is the community and the people you get to share it with. It's those times and those moments, and being able to hug the neck of someone that helped you get to that finish line that makes it all so much better.
Well, I mean, you talk about it, your friends literally are your family, though, right? I
Exactly.
mean, you get to that point, they know exactly what the training takes, what you did through the night, you know, how you're tired, how everything, and to see it come through. I mean, they know and to see the
Absolutely.
look like. Because when I didn't see you at the finish, you got there before I got there, but Brad looked like good, right? I mean, he didn't look like he ran 100 miles. He looked like, hey, man, where do we turn around and go back now? Or, you know, is this a 200? I'm ready. But you guys, and then I saw you later, but you both looked good, though. And to see that is, like, for your friend's point of view or your family's point of view, it's like, oh, I didn't wreck him, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even if you felt wrecked, you didn't look wrecked.
Yeah, no, it was awesome and so cool. I mean, one thing that just struck me that was so cool. So Erin Williams, who paced for Logan, his wife Christiane, she is just one of those people that is absolutely just one of the most incredible people.
She's a saint. Let's just say that she is the most selfless person I've ever met in my life, and she doesn't run ultra distance races, but she is there helping someone at just about every race there is. She is phenomenal. So I'm sorry.
No. I mean, you pretty much took the words out of my mouth. It was she was the one that after a bunch of us had come in, she went to go pick up breakfast burritos for us because there wasn't a ton of food at the I mean, she didn't ask for any money. She just went and did it because it was the thing that she wanted to do to help us, and it was just the coolest thing ever.
She must have missed where I was sitting, like my group where I was sitting.
She made sure that there was bacon at the finish line, so that was all that mattered.
So you say bacon, like I say cheese curds.
That's
I've
true.
come to
He does.
We had brunch this morning. And he ordered soft like tacos, like you get like fish taco type.
Yeah.
With a side of bacon.
Like street tacos.
Yeah,
a
street
side of bacon.
Can I get
yes.
a side of bacon? So and you've mentioned a few times you're a bacon guy. We
I'm a
got to get
bacon
you
guy.
sponsored by somebody like bacon.
Hormel.
Hormel. That's one that came to my mind. Not sizzling. It's not turkey bacon.
No,
Ooh,
It's like maple.
I want the
Smoke.
bacon. Yeah,
Bacon.
All right. We'll work on that.
I like it.
But you guys had, a lot of experiences out on the 100-mile course. Yourself running, you had friends running, you had friends pacing. But that whole finish area, to see all that come through, isn't that just awesome, though?
That's a good place to have the finish area, right?
For sure. Yeah, that was awesome.
To see everybody kind of being there. I mean, it was rainy kind of at the finish line. It was off and on rain, but people were just hanging out, man. They're like, no, this is where we need to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We snuck in right before it started raining, so we
Yeah.
were super fortunate in that way. But
Right.
I had to come back later in the afternoon to pick up some drop bags and some stuff, and it had just unleashed. And it was so wet, and it was nasty. And you know what? There's still just a ton of people there hanging out,
Hanging.
cheering people on. It was the coolest
Nice.
freaking thing ever.
Nice. So your first 100, not a bandit, but it's both of your first hundreds.
Like official
Yeah, I mean,
100.
they both went well.
It went, a lot better than expected, I'd say, for both of us. Him and I were running together at the first part of the race, and I had a pace chart per se, but it was more to tell me what kind of elevation I was looking at from one aid station to the next.
Right.
And Brad has his pace chart out where he's like, well, if we do it in this time, we're looking at a 30-hour finish. And he was kind of breaking it down for me. I, again, had no clue about any of this, but he was like, this 30-hour pace chart, it has us doing less elevation gain on the back half and a lot longer time. So we're right on time of what we're doing now. And if we are doing less elevation, and that got me thinking, I was like, so if we're on schedule here and we have allocated more time on the back half, this might turn out better than we think it's going to. And that was when that thought started creeping in my head, that horrible thought that, maybe we should push ourselves a little bit harder and we can, pretty much destroy this 30-hour time. And
Which you both did.
Right.
it worked out. Yes, it absolutely did. I didn't know. Again, another terrible good thing to have is a pacer who has no clue what to expect in front of the course, and he has some form of an elevation chart, and he's like, oh yeah, it's all downhill from here, so let's just run this part. And then
Run this part.
and then
Love that.
suddenly you're right back uphill, and I'm like, what happened to all the downhill, you son of a gun?
You crushed it. It's over.
Yeah, exactly.
Where were you?
So Sam and Aaron both, they got me on that one. Both of them set my expectations. We're like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty much downhill. Let's do this. And we're still going uphill at this time. And I'm like, oh gosh, this is terrible.
So normally, after your first 100, that race carves a special place. Do you guys feel that affinity towards the bear now?
I sure do. Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, I still feel like I have unfinished business with Wasatch. I think at some point I've got to go back and give that a shot.
Right.
I really do. But, next year, I don't know, I've got the Ute 100 on the list, and my trigger finger is really itching to get back on that bear list again. It really
you know
is.
what to expect now.
I do.
Right?
Yeah, and it sounds silly because I've only done one now, but I feel like I know now, okay, there's some spots where if I'm feeling good, I can probably go a little better,
Yeah.
and that's a real benefit, honestly.
It is.
This is that's my favorite part of people that run hundreds. It's like, it's not everybody, but sometimes like I'll never run 100 again, and then they start to shift. Go, if I cut time on that aid station, and I know I can climb, I could probably go.
I can go under 24 hours. Is what he's
Yeah,
actually
basically,
saying.
he's like,
that's what he's saying.
I've already got one of these buckles, but that
That's
other
right.
one.
But I want that other buckle.
That one's shiny. I want that one.
That's right.
I want to be done sooner.
That's a good point too.
So you already mentioned it. You're both signed up for the Ute, right? 100.
Cat's out of the bag, Logan.
It's that's what happens when you come
well,
on
wait a
the
minute.
show.
I thought Logan was waiting to sign up.
Then he did it no, he's in.
He's in.
I'm
His name's
signed up.
on there.
Yes.
Oh, good.
So what does next year look like? Where are we going to see you guys? I know we got the Ute. Where are we going to see you? You're going to take some time off to ski.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
Where are we going to see you guys next year?
Brad, are you signed up for any other races?
I got a couple. I have a problem with races, kind of, sort of. I'll be out there at the Zion 100K again. I did that
Nice.
one this year, and again, I did okay. Like if you look at the overall finishing time, it was an okay time, but
Right.
I kind of fell apart like 35 miles into that. So I've got some things I learned this year I'd like to apply and
Awesome.
chip off a bunch of time there. So
Yep.
I got that. I don't know. The Squaw Peak 50 is always on my radar just because I've done it.
Logan's
Logan's
shaking
shaking
his
his
head
head
no.
no.
Logan.
Vigorously no.
He's got some issues with running on the road, which obviously I don't.
No.
Yeah,
So
St. George
I'll
Marathon.
maybe do that. Maybe do that again. I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
And got the Ute, and I don't know. Thinking about the bear. Other than that, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
I mean, you've got Zion's in
there's
April. And
that
then you
race
got
in
May,
May.
the
The
first
first-
weekend in May.
yeah.
You got the Ogden
4th
Trail
and
Running
5th.
Festival.
Right.
Oh right. Oh,
So-
But
absolutely.
you'll be there for sure.
Yeah, so we know you guys will be there for that. Logan, what else do you have? You're not doing Squaw Peak for sure.
I'm
Yep.
not going to do Squaw Peak. I think that's safe to say that I'm out on Squaw Peak. And
Logan's
Brad,
not like got races he's gonna do. He's got races. I know I'm not gonna do these.
and to clarify, Brad, I'm not going to pace you on Squaw Peak either. It's not happening. I will be at the finish line again, watching and cheering.
There we go.
As far as other races, I don't know. It worked out pretty well this year, not signing up for a bunch of races. So I have nothing on the docket except for the Gib Wallace race.
There you go.
That's the only one
I
that
like it.
I'm truly planned on doing.
That's a short prep race for the Ute, right?
It'll be great. It'll be a good tempo run.
It's got everything you'd like, people you'd like to hang out with at the finish line.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Right? A lot
That's
of
exactly what I'm.
We're gonna
community,
get some
nice things.
bacon.
Yeah, we'll get some bacon.
I
on
like
for
the
you.
sound of that.
Yeah.
No, to be quite honest with you, that's the only race that I have planned. I am going to put in and take my chances for Western and Hard Rock
There you
next
go.
year, and if that works out,
I'm not signing up, but I'm gonna put in for Western and Hard Rock.
well, those two. I mean, it's just the historical fact, and I got to go out and watch some friends finish Hard Rock last
Yeah.
year. That's an incredible area, so I'll put in, and I know that the chances are 1 in 2 million. So again, chances were 1 in 2 million for me getting into Bear this year, but
Well, you got
So-
the Gib Wallace prep to get you ready for both, or,
Exactly.
or either or. So I mean, you're at least planning ahead.
exactly. The other races, I'd like to do Smut. Joel, you were talking about Smut earlier today.
Yeah.
I really wanted to do El Vaquero this year, but it happens to be the week before the Ute.
Yep.
So I'm not going to.
That shouldn't stop you.
Joel's like, I'm on both. What's your problem?
I'm planning on tapering.
Tapering up.
Yeah.
Gotta get on our plan.
I don't think that would be a good idea. So I don't know. I'm more of an adventure run kind
Yeah.
of person. I whatever sounds appealing that weekend, I'll go and do it. I'm gonna
Kinda
do
like the Bear 100.
exactly.
Pretty much.
I'll go
What are
and
you
do
doing,
the
Brad?
rim to rim to rim in March is the only thing that I have planned.
Nice.
Oh, that would be fun.
That's a
But
good one.
Other
is a
than
good one.
that, there's no other plans.
What, Brad? What about you? I mean, we talked about what you're doing, but what kind of do you have some like bucket list races that you want to do? I mean, young into this whole thing. So there's some out there, some races that you're looking at that would say, hey, that looks pretty fun. I'd like to give that a shot sometime.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Western States 100, I mean, I know that's on the radar for everybody, right, or for a lot of people. That would be a really sweet race for me to do. I would love that. I mean, I'm from Northern California originally. You know, I've hiked up there with my family and stuff growing up. I think it would, the heat I would have an issue with, but I think the fact that it's less climbing and more downhill running, I think would probably suit me a little bit better. But just the overall, you know, everything surrounding the race makes me just want to do it, like, you know, thousands of other people.
Like,
so.
yeah, feel the same way about Gib Wallace and
Absolutely.
Bear, and it's kind
Did
of
I mention that there's a Gib Wallace race?
I've heard about
next
that.
year.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
I went to the inaugural race last year.
Yeah, how'd that
it
work
was
out?
phenomenal.
Was it?
It was a lot of fun.
We didn't have bacon last year, though. That
there
was the only thing we were
There was
missing.
no bacon, but there was beer, and there was, you know, a lot of fun and friends at the finish line. So there was that.
Finishers awards were ridiculous, I heard, too. They were good looking.
They were.
So there's that to throw. And you can make a buckle out of one of those if you want. Take it off the lanyard. Yeah, I mean, you guys had a great year from the first time we talked to you guys, whether it was episode 73 or 84, kind of tracking you. I mean, I know, Logan, you didn't plan on the Bear. I know you planned on the Wasatch, but to kind of see the progression go through. And then, like I said, I mean, what you guys did at the Bear was amazing. I mean, something to not just be happy about, to be proud of, because you both, I know, put in your work in your own way, whether it's, you know, how you trained or how you train. I mean, it's not like either way you do it, that's legit. You can't fake a 100-mile race, right, with that kind of time.
It's hard.
It's just not going to happen. We talk about it on the show. You can sometimes fake a 50K.
Oh, yeah.
But above that, it's like you no, it's not going to happen. So what do you, in 2018, you've got your plan set up for it, and then just some fun stuff, right? It's kind of what you guys do.
For me, just fun. You know, Brad will call me and he'll be like, hey, you know, the Zion 100's this weekend. And I'll say, all right, well, I'll drive down there and run and watch you and pace however I need
And then
to.
we can go on the recovery run the next day.
Exactly. I'll talk you into, you know, bad decisions the next day. I'll be standing there at mile 50 with a beer for you. And, yeah, that's
What are friends for?
exactly.
That's awesome. That's so cool. Well, you know, you guys, thanks for coming on the show again. I know we had to twist your leg, but thanks for coming down here. Thanks for having brunch with us this morning.
That was fun.
I don't say that word
Super
often.
fun.
I feel classy, hipsterish brunch. It's like lunch, but got a nice time talking about that this morning. Get to know you guys a little bit better. But, man, we wish you nothing but the best for the races coming up.
Mm-hmm.
Your downtime, good luck with skiing this year.
Thank you.
You're in a good place for that, for sure. Throw some sticks on. That's what we're going to do. But, yeah, thanks for coming back on the show. Congratulations on an awesome year, but especially, you know, again, the Bear 100. It's super cool to see you both do well there.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed being on. Also, don't forget to give away a Nordic entry.
We'll do that on the single track session.
Yeah, we've got a giveaway coming up for the Nordic race we're putting on. It's the Logan Ledford Scholarship Fund.
It is.
Yes.
He's graciously donated a race entry to the Nordic 7K for somebody who wins coming up on the single track session. So we're looking forward to that. It's our first scholarship fund we've got
I like it.
so far. So, well, guys, thanks again for coming on. Episode 101. It's a special episode for us, so we're glad you guys were making it down. And having two people on is always a test, but I think we did all right.
Yeah.
And thanks for coming to Bomber Studios and meeting with us kind of on a off-kilter morning of location setup.
We got through it.
We did. We powered through it just like 100. So thanks again, you guys. Have a great year, winter coming up, and relax and enjoy some time.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Trail Manners podcast. We'd like to thank Brad Sween and Logan Ledford for joining us today. We also want to encourage everybody to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Trail Manners, or swing by our website at trailmanners.com. There you can check out our store page, or you can hit us up on the contact page. Let us know what you want to see, who you want to hear, or even if you would like to be on the show. Until next time, this is Eric Manning with Joel Hatch reminding you, you don't get what you wish for, you get what you work for. Now go get it.